Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Pop Anime Comics here from PopAnimeComics.com and the Pop Anime Comics Lounge podcast, where I interview voice actors, comic writers, artists, cosplayers, and professional wrestlers. And I do have some cool news. I do have a pro wrestling t-shirt shop up. Very cool design. One design right now up there. Check it out. Links down below. It's a really cool shirt, and I recommend you check it out because definitely it's something that you don't want to miss. And every shirt sale does help to support what I do here. Supports the podcast, supports the website, supports all these YouTube videos. As you notice, there's no ads on my YouTube videos, so that's the best way how to support me. Now we're going to be talking about Magic the Gathering. So obviously I just picked up a one pack of the core set 2019, as you can see from the photo. I'm just going to go through and kind of talk about the cards that I got and what they're worth and things along those lines. So you get a cool swamp, so mana. You get Revitalize, so you gain 3 life and you draw a card for 1 colorless and 1 plain. It's kind of cool. It's a good instant to have. It's a common card. It's not worth that much money, but it's a useful card, especially if you have like an angel deck. And there's a card that this goes really nicely towards the end of this pack that I got. So that's something to keep in mind. I also got Uncomfortable Chill, which is creatures you control get minus. Your opponent controls gets -2, -0 until end of turn. Draw a card. Again, very cool card to use. Catalyst Elemental. It's just a 2 colors, 1 mountain, and it's a 2/2. But if you sacrifice it, you get to add 2 mountains to your deck. So kind of useful if you know what you're doing with it. You kind of get a nice return on that card if need be. You get a Crave Waltz, which returns up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. And discard a card. Really useful, not that expensive to play. It's a colorless on a swamp. So really useful if you have cards in your graveyard that you, for whatever reason, had to get rid of, which I'm assuming there's cards in the core set that would allow you to do that, to summon something else. You could then move them back from your graveyard into this, and I can think of a few combinations that could be useful because there's cards that lower mana cost for other cards by removing top cards from your deck, and you can get them back using this card. Really useful for that. Talons of the Wildwood is an enchantment, an aura. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has trample, which means that you can deal damage, and it's almost like piercing damage, essentially. It deals excess combat damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking, so that's kind of useful. And return. So once your creature is destroyed, if you play 2 colors, mana, and 1 forest, you return Talon of Wild Souls from your graveyard to your hand. It's a 1/2 enchantment and an Aurora. So kind of useful card. Obviously, you're only getting 1/+1/+1, but you do get trample with it, so that's kind of fun. You get Pegasus Courser. It's flying. When Pegasus Courser attacks another target creature, gains flying until end of turn. Now, this is a 2 colors, 1 plain to play, but that is useful where another creature until end of turn gets flying. So flying can only be blocked by flying, and so that's something that's cool unless otherwise stated. And so that's a good card to use. And it's a little bit expensive for it being a 1/3, but if you have the right enchantments, you should be fine. Smelt destroys target artifact. It's a classic. It's like Shatter. It's a classic card. Droid of the Prowl. Basically, it's a creature. It's an elf druid. And if you tap, you get to add 1 forest to it. Really useful card. It's a 1/3. So it's good for blocking. It's only costs 1 colors, 1 forest. Really useful card, actually. So if you're tapped for mana or you need to summon big things up, this will provide you an additional mana. That's actually really useful. Especially considering that it's only 2 mana. You can get it out on your second turn, essentially. Skyscanner, flying. When Skyscanner enters the battlefield, draw a card. So it's inexpensive for a 1/1. But at the same time, it does have flying. You get to draw a card with it. So that's kind of fun. Snapping Drake. Obviously, Drake's, it's a 3/2 flying. Cost 4. Really not that good of a card. And then you get Rupture Spire. And again, all these commons aren't that expensive. They're rather cheap. It's about $4 for $1 on eBay for any of them. So it's really not that expensive. And then you get Rapture Spire enters the battlefield tapped. When Rapture Spire enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless you pay a colorless mana. And while this doesn't cost anything to play, it's going to cost you a mana to play it essentially. You do get to add any mana of any color. So, this is a useful card to have because, at the end of the day, you can't play it on your first turn, but you can play it on your second or third turn, you have it in your hand. Really useful because this could come in handy, especially if you're dealing with multicolored decks. So if you're dealing with like a red or black or a black and green deck or swamp and forest or mountain and swamp or mountain and forest, and obviously combinations can go any which way, this is useful for that. And while it's expensive initially, it's cheaper in the long run, especially if you have a long game that's going maybe 10, 15 turns at the most. This will help you in the long run because it'll be expensive, and then you don't have to worry about, well, if you only have 5 manas and your swamps are at the bottom of your deck, this solves that problem for you. So that's very useful. And then we get Colossal Magistrate. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card, so it's an enchantment. So it gives you another ability to draw a card, which means that you have more options to play. And while it's 2 colors and 1 forest, really useful, especially if you're powering up creatures and you know what you're doing with the power side of things, and it's really not 4 isn't that big of a number. Really useful because this can help you out a lot, especially as you need certain cards. If you need to go through your deck, this could be it. And also if you just play like 5 cards in a row and now you have, this will get your hand back up to 7 really, really quickly. So very useful to have. And then we get Vampire Sovereign, which is a flying vampire, enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. So it's expensive. It's 5. 2 swamp, 3 colorless. It's 5. But it's a 3/4. It does have flying. And automatically when it enters, your opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. And this could be useful for the next card I stated. And obviously, I mentioned another card before, and that at the start of this, and this is what's crucial, is that this card right here, Resplendent Angel, if I'm saying that right. So it's it's an angel creature, it's flying. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain 5 or more life this turn, that card gets you 3 right there, create a 4/4 white angel creature token, plains, more or less, with flying and vigilance until end of turn. Resplendent, or you could have 3 colors and 3 plain. Until end of turn, Resplendent Angel gets +2 and +2 and gains lifelink. So that means that essentially this thing could be on a 5/5 with lifelink, and it has flying, and create a 4/4. And if you gain 5, life at the beginning of each end step, at the end step, then you create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance. This is an expensive card. It's a useful card. It's your trump card in a deck. So you have 2 or 3 of these type trump cards in a deck. This is what your strategy is built around, is getting this thing out. Because it's 3 mana. It's colorless and 2 plain. This thing you can get on your 3rd turn, and it could do some serious damage, and it's a 3/3. And while its effects you can't really use its effects, either one of them. You're probably not on your 3rd turn going to be able to gain 5 or more life in a turn, on turn 3. But conversely, on turn 6, all of a sudden you might be able to do some stuff with this, and you might be able to do some serious damage with this card. This card goes for about $10 on eBay. So that's why this card's useful. It's expensive. A $10 Magic card is expensive. And that's something that's cool about it. And I like this. And so just looking at these, and then obviously I got a Bat token. So obviously Bat tokens are fun. Token cards are good. So going through this, just to talk about Magic the Gathering, and I haven't played in a while, about 3 months. But from my understanding is that a lot of these cards, from what I'm understanding at the core set, a lot of this, at least what I got in my pack, is dealing with life. I would say there's 3 or 4 cards that deal with life, linking and gaining or losing life in this entire, set. As well as I think this set is heavily on drawing cards and forcing draw of cards. And so that's what I'm getting out of it. It could just be this set I picked up. It could be that, and it could just be a free thing, but I have a feeling the core set is definitely linked more to life. There seems to be a lot more flying in there. There seems to be more drawing of cards, and there also seems to be more kind of, it's not a kicker, but it's more along the lines of there are other options with these cards. And so I think that's something that's very cool, and I like it, and I'm going to obviously get back into it. I'm probably going to pick up a core deck just to familiarize myself with the new core. I have a pretty sweet Goblin deck. At some point I'll talk about it on here. It's just compiled of a bunch of fun stuff from across the board, but it's a pretty sweet Goblin deck. But I have a feeling that this entire set really goes along the lines of definitely flying, drawing cards, kickers, and building around things like that. And a lot of life stuff is what I'm getting the feel for this entire set. So that's something that I think is interesting. I think it's cool. I think it's fun. And obviously, there's really not much value in anything but this card. So I'm going to be selling this card eventually on eBay in the next 3-4 weeks, probably, because it's well worth it and it's going to bring some money. I mean, $10, $12 for a card. Pack was $4. This card alone just pays for 3 packs. So that's something to keep in mind, that it's really cool too. I mean, it's obviously like an ultra rare. So that's kind of fun also with it. And it's really useful. It's a useful card to have. And depending if I pick up like an Angel deck, I might keep it because it's a really good card to use and it's good to understand how to use it. So that's where I'm at with this. So thank you for watching. I know it's a little bit boring, a little bit long, but kind of getting back into a lot of this Magic stuff. I do a lot of Pokemon stuff cards as well. And so that's where I'm at with all this stuff. And let me know what you think. Let me know what you're doing with Magic. And hopefully every week I'll be able to go through a pack of Magic cards and talk about it and just analyze it and have fun with it, because I think that this is what this is for, and I think it's really cool stuff. And again, all my links are down below, but I'll just go through them really quickly right now. Pro Wrestling Tees on Pop Anime Comics, iTunes on Pop Anime Comics, SoundCloud on Pop Anime Comics Lounge, iTunes I'm also Pop Anime Comics Lounge. My Facebook page is Pop Anime Comics. My website is popanimecomics.com. My Instagram is popanimecomics.com. I got a lot of cool stuff up on Instagram, dealing with New York Comic Con as of lately. Twitter is at Pop Anime Comics. And anything dealing with Pop Anime Comics is mine, or Pop Anime Comics Lounge is mine. Definitely subscribe on this YouTube channel. Check it out. Check out my Pro Wrestling Tees. It's the best way how to support me, because I don't make any money from YouTube, and I'm not complaining because I like doing this. But I would definitely appreciate if somebody bought my shirt, because it lets other people know that my shirt actually exists, and I get a little bit of money with it because it's a cool split with Pro Wrestling Tees. But enough about that. All the links are down below, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts on Magic the Gathering, the cards I just got. And if anybody's interested, definitely just let's have a conversation about it, because that's what I'm here for. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.